Job interview techniques. How to ace an interview. Although many candidates dread them, job interview questions are wonderful things. They are your greatest opportunity to prove to the interviewer that you are the best person for the job. The key is to give better answers than anyone else. To do this, you must anticipate likely questions, develop excellent answers, practice, interview techniques. Be enthusiastic and confident when responding to questions. Don't rush your answers, but don't ramble on and on either. Try to avoid like using unnecessary words, right? And repeating yourself or like annoying phrases, you know? A good technique is to write out your answers to the questions you anticipate and then edit them to make them more concise. Then practice your polished answers out loud over and over. If you can have someone help you do a mock interview, that would be the best way to do this. Most questions will relate either to your ability to do the job or to the type of employee you will be. Here's one that is very commonly used to help the interviewer learn about both. How to respond to interview questions. Remember to tailor your response to the specific job. By studying the job announcement, you'll get a good idea of the skills and experience being sought. Work those into your response. Consider this your own personal commercial. If the interview consisted of only this one chance to sell yourself, what would you say? What do you feel has been your greatest work-related accomplishment? Choose one example from the past that was important to you and helped the company you work for. Give specific details about what you did, how you did it, and what the results were. Try to pick an accomplishment that relates to the position for which you are applying. Employers like to hear about accomplishments. That reduces expenses, raised revenues, solved problems, or enhanced a company's reputation.
The great thing about job interviews is that no two are alike, and every applicant needs to be prepared for any variety of circumstances that might arise during an interview. Sometimes it's a few minutes of small talk, meet and greet, chatting, and then getting into the meat of the interview, which is what is your background, education, experience, how can you be of benefit to us here in our company, and then a question and answer period for the candidate where they have the opportunity to get their questions answered by the interviewer. That's a typical interview, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you might be surprised by a group interview when you think you're only going to be interviewed by one person, and sometimes it can be more of a situational type of interview where you're asked more about how would you handle this particular type of situation rather than tell us about your background and experience. So best to be prepared for any number of different types of scenarios. Always dress very professionally for every interview. For men, that would usually be a suit and tie, and for women, that's usually a skirted or a slacks business suit as well. Always dress for the position that you're really wanting long-term rather than the position you're applying for today. So even if you're going for a receptionist type of position or an entry-level job, dress for the management job that you hope to have in a few years. You can never go wrong overdressing for an interview, and make sure that your clothes are pressed and clean and your shoes are in good shape, And never wear too much jewelry if you're a woman, too much makeup. Make sure that your hair isn't overdone. You want to do things simple, tasteful, professional, and sophisticated. You can never go wrong if you follow those rules. First thing you can do to make a great impression at an interview is to make eye contact, smile, and give a nice firm handshake to your interviewer. That will set a very positive tone for the rest of the meeting. Wait to sit down until the interviewer asks you to sit down. And don't put all of your belongings on his or her desk. Make sure that you keep your things to your side or in your lap. Their desk is their space, and so be respectful of that. Also, wait until you're asked a question before you start speaking. Make sure you maintain great eye contact. Smile a lot during the interview. That really makes a big difference. And use positive body language. Nod when the interviewer is talking. Lean forward when you're very interested in what they have to say. At the end of the interviewer, as soon as you get the cue from that person that the interview is over, that's your cue to leave. So stand up, shake their hand, thank them again. Don't forget to ask for the job before you leave. That's another important thing. They won't be expecting that question, and it always makes a terrific ending impression as you're on your way out the door. Employers are not allowed to ask any questions relating to ethnicity, family status, childbearing status, anything that relates to culture, gender, family status, anything like that. Absolutely, they cannot go there.
Tell me a little about yourself. When responding to this request, you should focus on both your personal and professional values. Always be honest, but talk about your best traits only, especially those that relate to the position for which you are applying. Highlight experiences and accomplishments you are most proud of. Here's an example. I'm an experienced communications specialist with extensive knowledge of public information tools and techniques. I've developed comprehensive communication plans for major public events, written dozens of articles accepted by worldwide publications, and created specialized educational programs for adults and students. I am always eager to learn new methods and procedures, and have implemented continuous improvement techniques in my past positions that saved money and increased productivity. I like working with people and enjoy group projects, but am also a self-starter who doesn't mind working on my own. I'm a volunteer with the local chapter of Special Olympics and enjoy participating in community events. My goals are to complete my master's degree and broaden my experiences with community relations.
When an interviewer asks that question, tell me about yourself, it can be so intimidating, and a lot of people don't know what the interviewer is really looking for. Specifically, the interviewer is looking to see how well you answer that question, how well you can formulate a response, and how well you can keep to task. So first and foremost, you want to answer that question by giving them a brief overview of your professional background. Keep the answer focused on the task at hand, which is getting the job. So they don't need to hear your entire life story. What they're looking for are the most salient points of your experience, your expertise, your knowledge, and the skills you can bring to the job.
What is your greatest strength? This is a great chance to highlight your best skills. Don't pick just one. Focus on your top 3 or 4. Some examples are leadership skills, team building skills, and organizational skills. Determine which strength would fit best with the position for which you are applying. For example, if the job announcement stresses the ability to handle multiple tasks, you could say, I'm good at organizational skills, prioritizing, and time management, but my greatest strength is my ability to effectively handle multiple projects and deadlines.
Your greatest strengths are things that you need to know about yourself before you even embark on the job search process. If you don't know what your greatest strengths are, it might be premature to really start marketing yourself as a viable candidate for a position, and you might want to get with a career counselor who can help you identify what those strengths are. But typically employers are looking for people skills, technical skills, skills that are directly applicable to the type of position you're applying for.
What is your greatest weakness? Be careful with this one. Most interview guides will tell you to answer it with a positive trait disguised as a weakness. For example, I tend to expect others to work as hard as I do. Or, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Interviewers have heard these canned answers over and over again. To stand out, be more original and state a true weakness, but then emphasize what you have done to overcome it. For example, I've had trouble delegating duties to others because I felt I could do things better myself. This has sometimes backfired because I'd end up with more than I could handle and the quality of my work would suffer. But I've taken courses in time management and learned effective delegation techniques, and I feel I've overcome this weakness. Important. Be sure the weakness you talk about is not a key element of the position.
I love the question, what are your greatest weaknesses? Because it's kind of a trick question, and it traps a lot of people. A lot of folks feel that they have to answer that question by stating things that they truly are not good at, and that's not true. We want to spin this question around into a positive. So perhaps saying things like, one of my greatest weaknesses is that I don't have a whole lot of patience for work that isn't done in a timely manner, or work that isn't done to very high levels of excellence, which I'm committed to in my own work. So things like that will help to put a positive spin on what could be potentially a very dangerous question. So rehearse those questions and your answers very carefully ahead of time before you even get into that interview.